Good afternoon, I'm Malcolm Jordan and this is your Midday News Fix for Wednesday the 19th of February. The Prime Minister is committed to keeping New Zealand in the Paris Climate Agreement for now. Deputy Prime Minister Winston Peters and the next man in the job, David Seymour, have both expressed hesitation over our membership. They say it's lost much of its relevance, given that the US is pulling out. But Chris Luxon told the country he has no plans to withdraw New Zealand.
Our cabinet's agreed to say, look, it's in New Zealand's national interest at this time. Withdrawing from and ripping up international agreements means we wouldn't be a trusted partner on trade.
The Workplace Relations Minister says changes around employees' right to strike are about fairness. Brooke Van Velden is changing employment legislation to allow employers to deduct pay from their workers for partial strike action. Unions and the opposition say this is an attempt to take industrial power away from workers. But Van Velden says the bill provides a more balanced response to strike action.
I don't believe it is acceptable that an employer and the public can experience full negative consequence, while somebody who is not working their normal hours experiences no negative consequence.
Housing is still a buyer's market. Latest figures from the Real Estate Institute show house prices are down 15.7% below their peak nationally and 21.5% below their peak in Auckland. Institute Chief Executive Jen Baird says sales are increasing, but she says the number of properties for sale now is about 2.5 times the number available at the market peak in 2021.
Buyers have choice. That means if you are thinking about selling your property, you need to be really realistic and make your property as attractive as you can.
Attempts to restore public trust after a Public Service Commission inquiry identified failures around safeguarding data. The review into Stats New Zealand, Health New Zealand and the Ministry of Health followed allegations census and COVID vaccine data was misused at the Manarewa Marae. New contracting requirements will begin from July. Stats NZ acting head Mark Sowden will step down. Public Service Commissioner Sir Brian Roach says that's the right move given concerns raised internally weren't acted on.
It does send a signal that there is a threshold beyond which public servants have to actually be careful.
Moscow is continuing to push for an end to the war in Ukraine on Russia's terms. The US has got Russia to reach 3 key agreements, including reinstating ambassadors to each other's countries during high-level talks in Saudi Arabia. Neither Ukraine nor Europe were invited. The BBC's Steve Rosenberg says Russia has hardened its demands on the day of the talks.
Not only saying that Ukraine mustn't join NATO, it's demanding that NATO disavow formally the promise it made to Ukraine in 2008 that it could one day join the alliance.
To sport. Is Michael Cheika about to receive a second chance with the Wallabies? The former coach, who's coming off contract in the English Premiership, has been spotted meeting with Rugby Australia boss Phil Waugh in Sydney. Novak Djokovic's comeback tennis tournament has lasted a little over 90 minutes in Doha. He's been ousted. And the Formula One swear jar is about to take residence ahead of the season starting in Melbourne on March 16. The first offence now triggers a $73,000 fine. I'm Malcolm Jordan. That's your latest news fix. We'll be back with the next update at 5 p.m. from the Newstalk ZB newsroom.